buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they war. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is the Game On right here on UCY.tv. It is Tuesday. Is today June the 1, I think? No, 31st. 31st May, last day of May. And I don't see a chat popping up here tonight. Maybe I can get it, but it didn't pop up. Why is that? I don't know. Unable to connect. Okay, so we don't have a chat tonight. That I'm aware of anyways. I don't have one. Oh, here, it's over on this side now. Okay. I see. It's jump sides. Anyways, I got good news for the people in Ontario, Canada. The doctor-assisted death bill sails through the House of Commons. Controversial bill was approved by a vote of 186 to 137. Justice Minister Jody Raybould, along with Health Minister Jane Philpott, will testify before the Senate on Wednesday. It's expected legislation won't be passed by the deadline. Well, they didn't expect this to get through this quick either, so I got a bad feeling that before the House breaks for the summer, I guess, we may have a death bill here in Canada. Whoop whoop. Anyways, this is from the Canadian Press today at 6:20 p.m. So it's relatively new. It's not an hour old yet. The federal government's controversial bill on assisted dying has sailed through the House of Commons. It now heads into choppier waters in the Senate, where many senators are pushing for amendments. Well, the UNPA, the United Nations Parliamentary Assembly Group, pushing for a global UN parliament in a democratic world government, which is treason. But beside that, we've got a whole pile of senators that are also in that UNPA group, including the Prime Minister of the country is a member of the UNPA. And It says it is all but certain the bill will not be passed by Monday, the day the ban on assisted dying is formally lifted. Senators are expediting the bill, taking the unusual step of inviting Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould and Health Minister Jane Philpott to testify before the entire Senate on Wednesday. However, senators must still debate the bill as second reading, send the bill to committee to hear from some half-dozen witnesses, consider possible amendments, and debate and vote on the bill a final time. Given all that, Conservative leader Claude Kerrigan said the bill will not be put to a final vote until the end of next week at the earliest. So, we're going to get our own UN globalist corporate death bill, and so we can all have assisted suicide. And I'm sure they'll have it so that we can sign up for it way in advance. And it will get to the point, and it's always incremental, it will get to the point eventually where if you're depressed or you got laid off your job or you're having financial trouble or you just basically have a friggin' headache, they will be able to assist you and get rid of your problem with a shot. They like needles, eh? They really like needles. They love needles. You know, there's an old movie. It was a made-for-TV movie a long time ago. And in that, the respected town doctor, most respected man in town, basically, all of a sudden older people started kicking off once he looked at them. It turned out he was needling them, because he decided they were too old or unhealthy or too depressed or whatever to carry on, and he would just put them out of their freaking misery. Whether they wanted to go or not, he was assisting their suicide. He was helping them, he said. Didn't see where he was doing anything wrong at all, he said. And this is exactly what's going on here. And it absolutely sucks. And I'm sick and tired of these men, these so-called men, apologizing all the time. And don't think that I'm, what would that be, anti-female or anything like that. That couldn't be further from the truth. I'm just sick and tired of people not saying what they mean and mean what they say. So we have controversial PC MPP Jack McLaren returns to Queen's Park. I think I mentioned this before. He came back to the legislature Tuesday, which is today, after 6 weeks in the penalty box. So Jack had to go to a quiet place, a safe place, I guess, a place anyways, because Jack was a bad boy. Jack looks like he's in his mid-50s, maybe older, but apparently that's not good enough. Embattled progressive conservative MPP Jack McLaren finally returned to the legislature Tuesday after 6 weeks in the penalty box. It was the first time he had appeared at Queen's Park since being banished from Queen's Park by PC leader Patrick Brown for telling a sexist joke about a liberal MP in front of 350 people. Oh, bad boy, Jack. The Carleton, Mississippi Mills representative was contrite as he discussed with reporters the sensitivity training he took in the wake of humiliating MP Karen McCrinnan at a March 24th fundraiser in Carp, Ontario. I learned that I had things to learn. I found it to be a beneficial experience, that words can hurt, and that I have to be more careful, he told reporters following the afternoon Tory caucus meeting where He also apologized to his colleagues. I made a mistake. I regret doing that. I won't be doing that kind of thing again, says Jack. On April 18, 2 weeks after the Star revealed McLaren's behavior at the CARP charity event, Brown stripped the MPP of his caucus responsibilities and ordered him to undergo sensitivity training. But there's no bad blood between the two Tories. Patrick was very supportive, said McLaren, noting they spoke Tuesday. He said he values me as a member of the caucus, and it was a very positive conversation. The MPP also finally explained the bizarre fake testimonials from constituents that were posted on his official website using photographs collected on the internet. That was an error on the part of the staff, and we've had staff changeovers, and there were mistakes. And I regret that very much, he said. It's not something personally I did myself. I'm responsible as the MPP. We have a much higher caliber of people working for us now, and I assure you nothing like that will happen again. This is so freaking pathetic. Sensitivity training. What do you identify yourself as today? Now, what else we got in here that's really pathetically stupid? I mean, this is beyond bizarre. I mean, we read all these, me and other researchers, we read these documents so many freaking years ago. And here we are. Did you know that there's not enough being done to encourage less fossil fuels, Environment Commissioner says? Well, you know, when I was a kid, fossil fuels, and this is what I was taught in school, and this is why I don't like scientists. Okay? They're a lying bunch of clowns. They will say whatever needs to be said at any given time to push whatever is being pushed at any given time. Okay? They're mouthpieces. They're not scientists. Scientists is by observation. That's all science is. Observation. That makes me a scientist, you a scientist, everybody's a scientist by the definition of scientist. But these are not scientists. They don't observe. They observe and then manipulate is what they do. That's their job. Anyways, I was taught when I was a child in school that fossil fuels obviously must come from fossils. And what fossils did our oil come from? Why, dinosaurs. Of course that's where our fossil fuels come from. Rotting dinosaurs. All of these dinosaurs that perished for whatever reason somehow ended up way under the ground where they rotted and turned into oil. That's what I was taught in school. Oil comes from dinosaurs. Problem with that is the word dinosaur didn't appear until I think it was the late 1800s, mid 1800s maybe. There was no such word before that. The word dinosaur didn't even exist. Yet we were being taught in school that oil came from rotting dinosaurs. But dinosaurs didn't exist until there was no such animal as a dinosaur before the evolutionists got moving. Before that, the only word that would have coincided with the dinosaur was dragon. But the ecologists, because they're earth worshippers, can't go near the Bible. They can't go near through that history book. The Bible is full of the word dragon. No dinosaurs in the Bible, but then in the Bible there's no such word as human or legal either. So this is the moving away from one to another, from the creator to the creation. And we are supposed to bow down and worship the creation, not the creator. So the world's upside down, totally upside down. It says here that Ontario has a lopsided energy conservation strategy that focuses heavily on electricity and is shy on encouraging people to reduce their use of fossil fuels, Ontario's new Environment Commissioner says. But Diane Sachs acknowledged Tuesday that her concern will likely be addressed when the government releases its climate change action plan in the next 2 weeks. Hang on to your wallet, people. They're coming for your cash again. Maybe quite a bit, she told the news conference after tabling her first report. The action plan, I suspect, is going to be extremely important. Sachs said her 153-page report went out for translation into French and printing a couple of months ago before it became known Premier Kathleen Wynne's government would reveal its action plan early in June. Things are changing at warp speed, Sachs said. In the report titled Conservation, Let's Get Serious, she noted that aside from coal, which has been phased out as a fuel for electricity generating stations, Ontarians use more fossil fuels such as gasoline, diesel, and natural gas than they did in 2007. You bad, bad people. Transportation is typically our largest and fastest growing use of energy, and it depends almost exclusively on fossil fuels, that's rotting dinosaurs, that cause air pollution and climate change. More than 80% of the province's energy needs are met by fossil fuels, while conservation efforts have been targeted at electricity, which is the smallest and cleanest of our major energy sources. About half Ontario's electricity is from nuclear generation, which does not pollute the air, and other power comes from hydroelectric sources such as Niagara Falls, along with natural gas-fired plants, wind, and solar. While the province has improved rebates for motorists buying electric and hybrid vehicles, more moves are expected in the Climate Change Action Plan. Sachs called on the government to set targets for reducing fossil fuel consumption and said the province is very late getting to the party. It's the party that the psychopaths, sociopaths attend, not the party that normal men and women attend. This is the psychopaths and the sociopaths party. Or as George Carlin said, the big club. And you and I aren't in the big club, but it's the same big club they beat you over the head with every day, telling you what to believe, what to think, what to do, and so on and so forth. On electric cars, as there are just 5,800 of them on the road, which is less than 1% of all vehicles. That makes it unlikely Ontario will meet its target of having 5% of all cars on the road be electric by 2020. Indeed, the government has fallen short of its own promise to buy 500 electric vehicles. So far, they're at 70, and 14 of those are essentially golf carts, Sachs said. Energy Minister Bob, I'm a lion sack of garbage, Shirelli, said the government is investing $20 million in electric vehicle charging stations and that overall conservation efforts are a way for consumers to reduce their bills and greenhouse gas emissions. Under the Climate Change Action Plan, gasoline prices are expected to jump 4.3 cents a liter, and the average monthly natural gas bill will jump $5. The measure will cost the typical household about $13 a month. Environment Minister Glenn, I'm so frickin' gay and happy I can't stand it, said last week that the most government measures to fight climate change will be completely voluntary and relatively painless. It all depends what you call painless there, Glenn. How be you quit spending our frickin' money the whole damn works is? You know, get a job. Get a job. Most of us don't have the opportunity just to vote a raise in the House whenever we need one. This is a plan with a big basket of carrots and no sticks, he told reporters. In measures already announced, the government has embarked $500 million to retrofit social housing apartments with better insulation and energy-efficient windows. A similar program sets aside $400 million in as incentives for private residential apartment buildings to implement energy-saving renovations. Now, the problem with this one statement, this is a plan with a big basket of carrots and no sticks, he told reporters. We have a federation of, what is it, FCM or FMC? Federation of Municipalities, whatever that is, anyways. Federation, whatever it is. It's the federal association of municipalities. And in that, we found a document many years ago that said what they're going to do is once the mayors are elected, this is way back in the Al Gore days of Inconvenient Truth and that. So the Federation of Municipalities pulls the mayors in, and it said right in the document, once we convince the mayors that man-made global warming is real, then we will use the carrot and stick method to control them. Okay, in other words, if you want grant money, you do this. You don't do that, we call you out, and you don't get nothing. And we'll basically destroy your municipality for you. So this carrot and the sticks, to say there's no sticks, he told reporters, the whole thing is built on the idea of the stick or the club. Because whether the mayors realize it or not, they're not in the big club. They're the useful idiots. We'll offer you a carrot. If you don't take the carrot, we're going to club you with the stick. And that's how we're being ruled, with carrots and sticks. And people got to come to terms with that nonsense. Almost 1,100 migrants died crossing the Mediterranean last week, so sue the UN. What are they doing crossing the Mediterranean anyways? Oh, let me see, you bombed the piss out of their countries. And then you got all of the countries to sign on to the UN migrant policy, of which the countries agreed to take migrants. So how handy is that? Let me see what else we can find here. I got some really good stuff sent me today, but I haven't had a chance to go through it all yet. So over the next couple of days, maybe Saturday night and Sunday, we'll get into some of that. This is some really good stuff that is going to probably shake some people, because I was never taught this in school. Let's see what we got to talk about tonight. Oh, the African firefighters, just real briefly, that were brought in to fight the forest fires at Fort McMurray. I mean, how stupid is this? So we got all these nearly 300 South African firefighters had just wrapped up a 24-hour Air Canada flight from Johannesburg when, to the stunned silence of the Edmonton arrivals terminal, they burst into song. It really wasn't choreographed, it wasn't planned, it's just what we do, said Trevor Wilson, with Working on Fire, the South African agency coordinating the firefighters' arrival. Trevor Wilson, that doesn't sound like a South African name, a black man's name. Trevor Wilson. The firefighters had been strangers only days before, but they seemingly moved through a 10-song cappella medley, complete with perfect harmonies, impromptu fills, and coordinated dancing. Needless to say, it's a sight almost never seen in Alberta, where mass singing is largely relegated to the semi-reluctant drone of old Canada at hockey games. But mass singing is standard procedure among South African emergency services. Well, I guess we in Canada aren't up to par with these South Africa's emergency services, because apparently we as Canadians don't tend to burst into song and dance all over the place. It took a group of nurses to a hospital, and while we were having dinner, the South African nurses got up and started dancing and singing, yada yada yada. Anyways, the thing about this story is that I took a look on Facebook. Now, CBC had put out a story about this, and there's like 1,000 comments in that Facebook post from CBC. And it's just pitiful. It's the mindlessness of the people that call this place home is just amazing. Or, which I'm sure it was, just a bunch of trolls in there. It was like we're the most useless people on the planet. It was just 1,000 comments. Oh, thank you, South Africa. Thank you, South Africa. Thank you, South Africa, for sending the firefighters. We don't know what we would have done if you hadn't done it to come and help us out. There's like 1,000 comments like that. Now, I put a comment in that got kind of jumped on, which is par for the course. Like, they're going to build a mosque in Fort McMurray. Now, that may make sense to some people, but it makes no sense to any thinking person. Makes no sense to them at all. This is, I got sick of, I really did get sick of, all of this, it's an inside job crap that went on for like years. It's still going on. 9/11's inside job for so many years. And, I said, yeah, so what? Unless you're an idiot, it's an inside job. So you guys keep belly aching this all the time. It really started to irritate me. But everything that's going on in this country and every country in the West is most definite job. Okay? Everything is an inside job. There isn't a so-called leader out there that is not guilty of treason. They've all signed on to the United Nations. They're all member states of the United Nations. They've signed more damn treaties and more letters of intent than you can shake a stick at. The media never tells the people what the hell's going on. These people have no authority to go and sign us onto treaties for an outfit that is nothing more than a tax-exempt foundation created by the other tax-exempt foundations to direct us how we're going to operate on our own lands. Complete and total treason. It's an inside job. Plain and bloody simple. It's all it is. It's an inside job. And every one of these guys and gals ought to be taken out back and given a good whooping. And then, Jack McLaren there, the MPP, was given 6 months in, not jail, but kicked out of this caucus for 6 weeks because he said something that may have hurt somebody's feelings. These people are destroying the lives of everybody on these lands. They don't need sensitivity training, and they need a good swift kick up the ass. Then they need to be put away for a hell of a lot more than 6 weeks. Like quite possibly the rest of their stinking lives. These people are conspiring to destroy the nations. They are conspiring to set up death camps, if you will, through the Dr. Suicide programs. They're needling the hell out of the kids. making them autistic or straight out killing them. There isn't a teacher out there that isn't lying to the students. It's an inside job. Simple as that. It's simple as that. It's an inside job. Let's see here. Oh yeah, they changed in the. They've I guess they're legislated in the, or they're in the process of it. Ontario laws do not reflect our view of who can form a family when pledges to end the limbo for LGBT parents. Now, she's a lesbian, and our environment and climate change minister, he's gay. You see where we're having a problem here, people? Okay? These people do not represent the majority, for they are the minority. Again, it's upside down. And they're shoving their shit down our throat faster than they can write it. Ontario laws are outdated and do not reflect our views of who can form a family, Wynne said, adding she's committed to fixing this. And if you say anything bad, well, we'll throw you in jail. Just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And you hardly hear a whimper out of anybody. That's what drives me, I think, more nuts than anything else. Have people been that dumbed down? Now here we have an interesting, this is under the Holy Post. Under the Holy Post. I didn't know the National Post had a Holy Post, but apparently they do. Ashkenazi Jews, as well as the Yiddish language, came from 4 villages in Turkey, a study says. Canadian Council of Imams to open clinics to battle growing problem of extremism. Look to your conscience, the Pope says in major new document on sex, marriage, and family life. A very powerful moment. Pope Francis blesses the eyes of a 5-year-old girl who is slowly going blind. Well, isn't that special? All right, let me see where we go from here. Let's go to health real quick. DNA editing lab. Oh, I see. DNA editing and lab-grown skin. How we'll be living and looking better in the coming decades. Well, I got wrinkles and I'm damn proud of them. Means I've been alive. And let's see. Research in the lucrative field is moving at an extraordinary pace, and growing old may soon mean slowing down or even reversing aging as we know it. Scientists say they've developed a second skin you can wear for more than a day to look younger. It's just pathetic. And in health here, we have how to talk to a friend who has Alzheimer's. Probably any way you want, because he ain't going to remember what you said. Doctors can assist suicide next week, but will they? If bill not passed in time, MDs face legal confusion. Once-a-day sun creams, a cancer risk, consumer watchdog finds after tests reveal poor UV protection. The sun's good for you, okay? The sun's good for you. I mean, people slam so much junk on them before, oh, the sun, I can't go in the sun. The nightmare superbug that could mean the end of the road for antibiotics just reached the U.S. The superbug, the superbug that antibiotics can't deal with has just come to the United States. In some instances, these superbugs kill up to 50% of patients who become infected. The CDC has called the CRE among the country's most urgent public health threats. Superbug gene causing global alarm about making antibiotics no longer work found in former Ottawa patients. Superbugs cause 1 in 7 infections caught in hospitals. Don't get sick, don't go to the hospital. Stay the hell away from the hospitals. Stay the hell away from the doctors. You know, the superbugs, this just reminds me of Prince Philip, who wants to, when he dies, come back as a killer virus to call the human herd. Huh? Knock the animals down. There's too many on the planet. So, I've been waiting for Prince Philip to kick the bucket for a long, long time, but he just won't do it. So maybe they got tired of waiting too, and they said, screw it, Philip, we'll just go and make a superbug and we'll get ahead of it, and you can watch the culling before you die. How's that? He'd probably appreciate that. A scientist who wants to regenerate 20 brain-dead patients deluge with warnings of zombie apocalypse. Oh, man. This is supposed to be the health section. It's the bizarro section. Okay. Use obesity surgery more often for diabetics, guideline urges. 3 in 10 children neglected by parents. Quebec study finds through those surveys definition of neglect in dispute. Huge demand for IVF treatment in Ontario, where it's fully funded, has a wait list stretching to 2018. Scientists discover 5 genes that impact nose shape. We pay for all this crap. Science discovers 5 genes that impact nose shape. Who gives a damn? Well, apparently they do, because they go on to say our understanding of our facial traits is important for a lot of things that go beyond our own vanity and our hopes for our kids. So, you don't want to mix noses, I guess. When you're going to go and find your mate, you better go and have your noses checked over by the scientists so that your child doesn't have a funny-looking nose. But then don't forget to get that nice nose vaccinated. Giving babies foods like peanuts before age 1 cuts risk of sensitization. Babies fed cow's milk, eggs, and peanuts before age 1 are less likely to develop sensitization to those foods and could possibly avoid full-blown allergies later in childhood, a study suggests. Well, I suggest you eat real food, not adulterated food, and you won't become sensitive to it because it's natural, it's normal. Oh, God. When is stoned too stoned? Good question. How you doing? I'm stoned. But are you too stoned? I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe we could get some scientists in and figure that one out. Because now that you man, I just was stoned. I didn't know if I was too stoned or not. But about half of Canadians who drive while high insist pot doesn't impair them. In advance of the legalization of marijuana, federal government studies the idea of setting legal limits for driving under the influence of weed. We'll get a self-driving car. Better still get a self-driving electric car. You'll get a rebate. Since legalizing pot would violate UN laws, experts say it's time for Canada to pull out of the drug treaties. Now, if you go to the UN and you go under treaties, there's a treaty, I think there's a fart treaty. There's a treaty for everything, because I think these people got nothing else to do. In order to justify their existence, they make up treaties and agreements, letters of intent. And then we all sign on to them. Now, before I get too far, there's a story I saw this on Facebook last night, and I'm just going to dump it in here tonight if I can find it. Here's a wait a minute, here's a message coming in. I've already done that. Sorry. There's a couple of. What time? I only got a little bit of time. A couple of quick stories here. Now, this is a story I'm going to work on a little bit more. But the guy who was the finance minister of Greece, Yanis Varoufakis, the able Greek economist, minister for finance, is the first in the first Syriza's government, and well known for his trenchant opposition to Troika austerity measures, bashing the poor and already vulnerable majority of the population, becomes such a media star that every time he gives an opinion on political economy, some theoretical aspect of economics or economic policy, his words are widely disseminated. Hence his remarks on basic income, which he described as a necessity, a future of work conference in Zurich on May the 5th, 2016, are of no small import. Now, I was quite interested in this guy. Somebody sent me a video of this guy, I don't know, a month or two ago. And I watched, it was a meeting at a university, and the host of it was Noam Chomsky. And everybody was praising this ex-Greek finance minister. He was saying some interesting things, saying all the right things, but what's Noam Chomsky doing there? Why is this guy at a university? Something really stunk. Really stunk. And I mentioned that to the one that sent me the video, because there's something very wrong with this thing. Okay, very, very wrong. Why is he being paraded around all these universities? Why is a guy like Chomsky interviewing this guy? Well, it turns out this guy's pushing the guaranteed income, which means he's a player. The guaranteed basic income, that's coming straight out of the United Nations, which he bastardizes. Chomsky bastardizes the United Nations, but this is exactly where this is coming from. So while they're bastardizing the United Nations and that, and the capitalist, because, well, people are suffering. He's talking about the basic income. The basic income, I've mentioned this many times before, is simply these group of nutcases that set up this tax-exempt foundation called the United Nations take control of all resources on the planet and then divvy them out to people under adequate. But they decide what adequate is. And they are the capitalists. They are the capitalists. The very capitalists that Chomsky and this other guy's bitching about. So I'm going to have to get a little deeper into that one, but not tonight. Okay, there's another thing that popped up on Facebook here, if this will pop up for me. Now, there was, come on, hurry up, let's go here. Okay, what this is here, and I don't know if anybody's got, I don't know if anybody in the chat, or if I can post into the chat tonight, uses Facebook or not, but I'm going to try and dump it in here. Now, this is really interesting because I guess it's almost a case of told you so, but I'm not going to say that. All right, let's see if I can dump this in here. God, my computer's messed up. Okay. Did that go in? Oh. Username, password. I have no idea what my name. And I can't get. Well, I don't know what my password is, so I guess it's not going to let me post that. Something else I have to do, I guess, go and find out what the hell my password is into the chat. It was working good. Anyways, here's the deal. We have this piece here that says International Common Law Court of Justice, Calgary chapter, Calgary, Ontario chapter, shared the Chris Hunamati Foundation of America's photo, whatever this is. So this is a story, and it has a passport here in the picture. The passport says global citizen, okay? Global citizen. So it rattles on here a bit. Tells a big long story about all of this stuff. So somebody had been trying to find out who this is or what it is. And so it's somebody wrote in, who is running this site and why have they refused to respond to personal messages? Well, I'll tell you why. And this guy goes on again, if you really want to be a useful change, which now appears doubtful, you will avail yourselves of the talents you obviously lack. So who is promoting this global citizen thing? Well, so I go to this site, and and I end up, oh, come on, where did I? Okay. I end up at welcome to itccs.org, the International Tribunal into Court of Church and State. Because when I hit the link originally on this thing, wherever that link got to, Is this the link here? Anyways, they're talking about World Court. And but anyways, when I followed that through, there was only one link on their page. So when I clicked that, I ended up over at the itccs.org, which just happens to be Kevin Annette's outfit. Now, Kevin Annette is the guy that did the movie Unrelenting about the what happened to the natives at the state schools and so on and so forth. I interviewed the guy a couple of years back, maybe, I don't know what it was, 2-3 years ago. I interviewed Kevin Annette, and just had a nice quiet talk with him and allowed himself to out himself. And if the guy's not a Jesuit, he's hanging out with the Jesuits. He's talking about global court and all this kind of stuff. But anyways, if you are a follower of Kevin Annette, don't be. The man is a con artist. He's a player. And he's working against your best interest. Okay? I just wanted to put that in. So don't get conned by Kevin Annette pushing the global citizen. And I'm going to be finished up here in a minute. This is a really sick story. The USDA says okay to ship U.S. chicken to China for cheap processing, then re-entry to the States for human consumption. So it's animal feed. Remember, a human is an animal. It's not a man or a woman. It is an animal. And it says it's an animal. It says it's derived from the great ape. So it's an animal. So they're going to ship the chickens over to China for cheap processing, then re-entry to the States for human animal feed consumption. Chinese chicken will soon have a whole new meaning as the U.S. Department of Agriculture gave the green light to 4 chicken processing plants in China, allowing chicken raised and slaughtered in the U.S. to be exported to China for processing, then shipped back to the U.S. and sold on grocery store shelves here. Furthermore, the imported processed poultry will not require a country of origin label, nor will U.S. inspectors be on site at processing plants in China before it is shipped to the United States for human consumption. Food safety experts worry about the quality of chicken processed in a country notorious for avian influenza and foodborne illnesses. No kidding. And they predict that China will eventually seek to broaden the export rules to allow chickens born and raised in China. This is very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. We need to shut the borders down. I'm not just talking about America. I'm talking about in the West in general. We need to close the damn borders down. Well, then you'll be just like North Korea. People will scream. You're a nationalist. That makes you a Nazi. People will scream. No, you stupid asses. Okay? We are being invaded. We are being poisoned. I mean, your government, and I don't care where you live, your so-called government is attempting to destroy you. Now, what kind of a country would ship, I mean, they've shipped your jobs all overseas. Now they're going to ship your food overseas. They're not going to mark your food where it come from. They got no inspectors over in the processing plants in China. You have no clue what you're picking up on the grocery store shelf. So my advice to people is go find yourself a farmer somewhere locally, cut a deal with them, and get some food. Because if you continue to eat this garbage that they're putting on the shelf stores, well, where's the food? Now, here's a good, I got 2 minutes or 3 minutes. The Bureau of Labor Statistic data estimates the American poultry processors are paid roughly $11 an hour on average. That's a pathetic price. $11 an hour to deal with chickens? In China, reports have calculated the country's chicken workers can earn significantly less, $1 to $2 an hour. Okay? $1 to $2 an hour. As Morris Strong says, nobody can compete with us, and he's a Chinese boy. He's not Chinese, but he's a Canadian boy, but he likes China, like Rockefeller likes China, and Morris Strong was Rockefeller's bum boy, if you will. And he said specifically, no one can compete with us because we have the cheapest labor on the planet. You cannot compete. I mean, $11 an hour is a ridiculously low wage. But even $11 an hour, you can't compete with $1 an hour. So it doesn't matter how competitive. Remember years ago they said that, the West has to be more competitive. We have to be more competitive. They tried to teach us to act like the Japanese, the Chinese, everything else. We have to be more competitive, more competitive. Well, you can't compete. $11 wage with a $1 wage, you can't compete. I don't care how competitive you think you are. You cannot compete with it. Therefore, you close the border to it. You shut it out. Oh, you're a nationalist. No, I'm not an idiot, is what I'm not. We're being driven into the ground. It has to stop. Every one of your elected officials is doing the bidding of the Rockefellers, the Carnegies. These are the guys that set up the UN. The UN is nothing but a conglomerate of tax-exempt foundations, bankers, lawyers, who control every aspect of your life at this point. And that's got to stop. And the only way you're going to stop it is to close your borders down significantly. I got no problem with trade, but it better be on a level playing field. You're being taken advantage of. You're being driven into the ground. It's time we get our heads wrapped around that and stand up. And if you're an American or a Canadian or an Aussie or a Brit, and you have a family member who's in the forces, tell them to get their asses home. We need them at home, not out in the field, some other little country that they're beating up on. Get their asses home. Tell them there's an invasion going on in their home country, and they need to come home and deal with it immediately. Anyways, I hear music. Kind of a shattered up show today, but that's just the way it is. We're back Thursday night. I'm going to look into a couple of these other stories.
Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower
Other than that, I don't know. They don't have yourself a great night. Take care. Hope the cats Take care, everybody. Have a great night.